I remember the first time when I came over, I literally only have $500 in my pocket, like a Chinese meal. And they're like, only dogs eat that. I was like, oh, how am I going to survive in this country?
I think as a PM, it's really important to, understand the concept of dog food.
What is an advice you would give to someone who is looking out to start as a creator on LinkedIn or starting just to write few posts and share their knowledge?
Starting as a creator is very much like starting your own startup. In this case, you are the product.
AI in product management.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with AI. The tech industry is functioning more like I call it wartime versus peacetime.
If you want to share your favorite AI tools, like 2 or 3 top that you are using.
90% of people don't even know it's an AI.
What do you think is going to be the future of product management? Hello everyone, welcome to Curious Souls. Thank you so much for watching our episode. If you like what our content is, please like, share, comment, subscribe. That really helps us in getting amazing, incredible leaders like one we have today. So talking about today's episode, we have somebody really special who has done like incredible things in the area of product management. We would love to learn from her today, have a conversation about PM and things of that nature. So I will let Ankita introduce her and let's take it from there, Ankita.
Thank you so much, Rishab. Hello everyone, my name is Ankita Mishra. I'm a senior product manager at Microsoft. And before I introduce today's guest, if you have not yet subscribed to our channel, please hit that subscribe button below. It really helps Rishab and I to get the best leaders in the industry for all of you, because when we moved as immigrants, we were looking for all these nuggets of information that can help us in our career. So please do this to help yourself too. So talking about today's guest, I'm smiling ear to ear because I'm literally having a fangirl moment right now. Ever since I joined LinkedIn as a PM, once I got my job in 2019 in Microsoft, I've been following this one person who has been like this beacon of inspiration for me, because she is a leader when it comes to, tech innovation, AI, speaking her mind on product management, and also driving this wonderful PM series, which I've been following very closely. And she has got guests like Marty Kagan on her PM speaking series, and she also has done amazing posts on LinkedIn on product management. If you don't know her yet or doesn't follow her, please hit that follow button below on her LinkedIn profile. And without further ado, I'd give to you Shyvee Shi.
Ooh, thank you. It's my honor to be here and really awesome to learn about the podcast process, the impact that you have made. And this is quite a professional setting, so I feel very lucky and honored to be here and excited to share my journey.
Thank you, Shyvee. Okay, so let's deep dive into the first question, which is basically all 3 of us are immigrants. We have come from India, China. So I know we get this question a lot. And when we did the anonymous survey, one of the questions that came up was how challenging was for you as an immigrant to come to United States of America? And how did you convert your challenges in opportunities, because you are doing so awesome in your career. You worked at LinkedIn and now you're at Microsoft. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
So if you can share that pieces of information for everybody around the world who looks up to you.
Oh, thank you. I think there's a couple mindsets I would share, and sometimes the hard lessons that you learn over the years too.
Yeah.
A lot of it comes back to like self-limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
I remember the first time when I came over, I literally only have $500 in my pocket.
Wow.
The first time I came over was 18, when I was 18 as an exchange student. I remember sleeping in the hotel and like taking cold showers because I didn't know how to like turn on the hot water. You wait for a minute. I remember the next morning I went to a burger joint and I look at like $3 and $3.50 a burger, and I immediately translated to like what's that in Chinese yuan.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't want to pay that much. I want to eat something healthy. So I just pick like burger paddings that you put, in between the burgers.
Yeah.
And the cashier look at it, it's $1.50. I was like, that's decent, like a Chinese meal.
Right.
And they're like, only dogs eat that. And it was quite I was like, oh, how am I going to survive in this country?
Right.
And that was my intro to America.
Yeah.
I think what I like about this country, though, is it's a lot of freedom. So you do what you do, and people might judge you, might not, but you don't have to listen to them. So I think, if you, as an immigrant coming into the country, it's full of opportunities and,
Absolutely.
For you to seize, and for anyone who can, believe in themselves and pushing forward. Some of the mindset I do want to say are first, just like, any immigrant, especially from India and China, we often face a lot of visa issues. So you kind of bound yourself to play small for many, many years until you're like free to really do something you want. So I think with that, it's helpful to know how to navigate, the system. Can you create still a lot of opportunities for yourself?
Love it.
So that down the road, when you're like actually free, you have opportunity, have the foundation for you to do whatever you want. So that's number one mindset. I think number two is just finding communities, right?
Yeah.
You want to learn from others.
Right.
You want to learn from people have been there, done that. You want to, seek inspiration, because as a first generation immigrant as well as first generation college graduates, I actually did not have, any role model growing up.
Right.
So I think I learned a lot of things the hard way too, as in like, oh, okay, so I wish I could have done that and or this. Then my career would have been maybe much easier or even at higher level or whatnot. Last thing I would say is don't compare yourself to like people with different starting points.
That's a good one.
That is such a good one.
That's a really good one.
Because whenever you like being tough on yourself and you're thinking like, I wish I could have done that and this, you're maybe not coming out from the same place.
Exactly.
So just making sure you acknowledge that and keep pushing forward.
That's really powerful. I think I loved how you broke it down into 3 different parts: mindset, community, and then don't compare yourselves to others, because I think it's a human nature that we compare ourselves to others, and you'd have to understand that their journey, or if we compare the journey to a book, they are on a different chapter and you're starting at a different chapter. So it's unfair to compare your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 11, right? And I think that's really powerful, and thank you for sharing that, Shyvee.
Yeah, I love it. Like your journey, we could actually sync with that,
Yeah.
because when we came as students too, there were so many challenges that people don't know, we don't tell, but we all know what we have been through, and wherever we are, we have worked so hard for it. So thank you so much for breaking that down and being so candid. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Let's move on to our next question. Shyvee, we keep on hearing from our audience that they really want to understand that how is it to be a PM, product manager at LinkedIn, right? A lot of people, I think pretty much everybody in the working industry is using LinkedIn right now, and it's very intriguing for them to understand that, hey, what does a PM day-to-day basis have to do in LinkedIn? And then that's one part. And second, I personally leverage LinkedIn Learning a lot via Microsoft. So how can they use this additional tool that you get in LinkedIn Learning, skill them to make them better ready for the career growth that they're looking for, or the perfect role that they're looking for? So they would love to understand this from you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been at LinkedIn for the last 6.5 years. I think it's definitely quite an honor to join the company. I remember I knew about LinkedIn through my business school. So that was 10 years ago.
Right.
We had a visit to the campus and I was just like, this is my dream company. It's working in professional, helping, make creating economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce, is helping to up-level professional, creating communities, everything I love. So it was a really good run to be in a company of like very mission-driven and etc. So when I first joined LinkedIn, many people know of LinkedIn as like LinkedIn.com, like the sort of what you call a flagship app.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the fee, like the jobs, and you talk to people through InMail, receiving recruiter InMail. But LinkedIn also have like 4 line of business around our talent solution, which is working with, recruiters and posting jobs online.
Right.
And then LinkedIn Learning is actually part of the talent side of the business.
Interesting.
And then we have LinkedIn Marketing Solution, which is selling ads and, and then a sales solution is using LinkedIn's data and targeted business development professional. And then historically there was like the LinkedIn Learning arm, but now it's being morphed into talent. So there's different part of the business. When I first joined, I was working on a sales tool to help our reps better sell into different line of business.
I see.
About 4.5 years ago, right before COVID, was when I transitioned into LinkedIn Learning. And there I became sort of a full stack PM that I work on every part of LinkedIn Learning pretty much, from like platform to search and discovery, a little bit on homepage redesign, like notification first time onboarding experience. Think about elevating instructors' presence on LinkedIn as a knowledge creator. And then eventually I transitioned into our online jobs business, which is more helping small and medium-sized business hire better, hire faster, using our online jobs product in a self-serve capacity. And then last but not least, helping LinkedIn grow beyond the professional segment. So I've been like getting different tastes of LinkedIn, but not in the traditional, I guess, like the LinkedIn fee and LinkedIn product. But one thing you mentioned about building my audience over the year was actually coming out from like, I wanted to dog food the product to see how I can, use it better to serve our instructors community. And then over time, I learned different techniques and like learning how to become a creator myself. At the time, our company priority was actually helping to uplevel creators. And over the years, we shifted that narrative a little bit more towards like knowledge sharing and knowledge contribution. But so that's kind of the evolution of my journey within LinkedIn and also the company. I think on a day-to-day basis, a lot of what you do, it's like a typical like consumer PM job. I actually work on both the junction of like B2B to C and B2C, because with LinkedIn Learning, it's an enterprise product, 80% of it. But I work on the learner side of owning that experience. And then with online job, it's like, you're selling to a small and medium-sized business.
Yeah.
But it is like kind of a consumer experience.
Right.
And then with the latest one growing like seekers and healthcare and other segments, it's both a consumer and enterprise as well. So I think on a daily basis, you do a lot of, I probably spend about 40% of time working with engineers and just kind of figure out what features we need to build, like what's the progress, any blockers. I spend a lot of time working with designers like on like features and thinking through like, how we want to build it.
Yeah.
My latest role would also have like a B2B go-to-market angle. So I would work with like sales or customer success, talking to target customer like hospitals, see what kind of recruiting solutions that they use today, what are pain points around those solutions. You talk to target users on the consumer side. So for me at the time, it was like nurses, for example. Understand how they think about career, where do they go to look for jobs today if they don't use LinkedIn, take them to use LinkedIn. You kind of also interview different, we call it extreme users, so like user who use your product and users who don't use your product. So you kind of like talk to like the power user and like the people who don't use and like get like different perspective.
That is interesting.
Working with data scientists to look at the data, look at both like doing market research, like what else is out there in the market, but also looking your own platform data, like, okay, are there nurses on LinkedIn? Like, are they looking for jobs, or what do they do? Do they browse feed? What level of education do they have? And like, compared to, our average user or compared to our star segment, in our user pool, and just like get a better understanding of them both from a qualitative and quantitative perspective. And then just coming back to like thinking through, well, what strategy do we have? What kind of levers and resources we need? And every job is different, right? Like if you ask me about my LinkedIn Learning job, then as the PM, it's also different. Then I would talk to learners, for example, about how they learn, how they search. And as a search PM, you also study a lot of data around, well, what search keywords do they use? Are they able to find what they're looking for? Or do they bounce back from like what they're searching for? So a lot of pretty rich human psychology that's going into play to understand. And then obviously you have gaps in the data that you can collect.
Absolutely.
So you have to like kind of leave with that ambiguity of like, okay, make some hypothesis to test. So I'll conclude with like, how do people leverage like resources from, things like LinkedIn Learning. I think LinkedIn Learning is really trying to ride a wave of like the Gen AI learning content. So there are a lot of like content around Gen AI specific for different type of roles too, like Gen AI for product managers, for marketers, for human resources, down to like more difficult, like hands-on technical learning, like basics and fundamentals of machine learning and AI. So I think for folks who are interested and don't have a lot of time, that you want like bite-sized learning, I think that's a good sort of platform to look for some free resources to keep
That's
up
great.
to date.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. That was an amazing response. We love LinkedIn Learning. Like, I think you and I have been using it for a while.
Absolutely.
Thank
And
you.
I knew about those pillars because my brother actually worked in sales side of LinkedIn. So
Nice.
he told me that it's not just LinkedIn.com, but there is a lot that goes in the back end.
Right.
With the whole sales marketing team pitching. He used to pitch to all these enterprises and get them in, which is amazing. Anything you want to add on?
No, I think one thing I'd really like to highlight over here, you shared about dog fooding, right? I think as a PM, it's really important to understand the concept of dog fooding and really use your own product to be able to understand, or be in your customer's shoes, right? If you're able to do that, and like Shyvee, you're a perfect example of doing that. You were able to step up and like be one of the heavy users of LinkedIn Learning instructor. And how can you grow an audience over there, right? Because again, LinkedIn Learning is a two-sided marketplace, I believe, right? You have to have instructors and you have to have like consumers as well, right? So how do you make sure that both sides are growing equally? And how can you satisfy both cohort of customers in a way that both of them are satisfied, right? So I think I love the fact that obviously it's easy to dog food as a consumer. It takes more, effort to dog food as a trainer, right? generating content that customers can consume, or viewers can consume. So I think there's a very important lesson you taught over here, that try dog fooding your own product so that you become a master for it,
Yes.
and you can become a good PM and understand the the metrics, the data around it, and how do you grow it into a successful product, right? So
Yeah.
I love that breakdown.
Yes, and I love, like, I think I've read your previous post and heard some of your podcast, and you have said how you started getting into the creator side of things because
Right.
you wanted to test it out yourself because before you roll it out to other people. So that is a good segue into our next question, which is, I don't know if everybody hearing this podcast knows, but Shyvee has quite a huge following on LinkedIn. She has like 115K, 115,000 or 114,000 people, and I'm a big fan. Like I just said in the start, I'm a big fan of her content and what she brings, the value as a woman in tech, a woman of color in this space. And I know so many of our viewers, Shyvee, are these Gen Z, millennial people who want to be creators on LinkedIn and also want to know how they can utilize it, not just a creator, but create a post so that they are noticed by more people, more recruiters, the company of their dreams. So what is an advice you would give to someone who is looking out to start as a creator on LinkedIn, or starting just to write few posts and share their knowledge?
Starting as a creator is very much like starting your own startup. In this
Yeah,
case,
that's
you are the product and
Yeah.
you're trying to market
Yeah.
yourself. So there's a
Right.
lot of things to learn about it.
Yeah.
I think some of the advice I would give is like start small.
Yeah.
Like don't think about, because a lot of people need to conjure up a lot of courage in order
Yeah.
to put themselves out there to create a piece of content.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times you just don't know what content will do well for
True.
you, because it might do well for someone else, but not necessarily for you. So you got to find, in product, we talk about product market fit.
Right.
Here
Oh,
we talk
yes.
about content audience fit. So you have to got
Love
to be,
it.
the right person to talk about the right type of topic on the right platform.
Right.
So let's say if you're very much like a visual or audio, like video kind of person, then TikTok, Instagram Reels, or YouTube Shorts are sometimes better than LinkedIn. LinkedIn's better for text form or carousels. Right now, we're starting to roll out, I think, video format, but it's still in its nascency.
Yeah.
So we'll see. So you got to learn what platform works well, what topics to talk about, but don't overly invest in one single post or idea.
Yeah.
Spend like months working on it and try to release it.
Right.
It's a much better mindset to start really small. When I first started, I actually started with like 2 30-day challenge where I just gonna post anything that comes to my mind, just get into the habits of iterating.
I love that.
Oh, yeah.
So then you learn.
That's so
30-day challenge,
cool.
yeah.
So then you don't get so emotionally, invested in one post.
Right.
And then once you post, you see like 5 likes, you're like, this is not for me.
Right.
Yeah,
Because you spent all your energy trying
Right.
to get that right.
Yep.
that's true.
But no, that's not, so you got to think about how I would find topics to talk about. So I think what happened to me was I went through multiple iterations. So the first time I test was a first 30-day. I just post anything that comes to me that's interested me.
Okay.
Interesting.
Guess how well do you think that went?
You tell us.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a start. You were trying to understand, like,
Experimenting.
content audience fit, right?
Right. I'm assuming some of them did well, some of them did not do well. Like it was an experiment.
Most of them didn't do that well.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
it's like things that I care about
Right.
that my audience don't care about, right?
Okay.
So then the second iteration, I start posting more about PM productivity series, also 30-day, buy size, get a little bit more traction,
Okay.
but still not quite, like the explosive growth that
Right.
you're like looking for.
Right.
Right.
And then eventually I realized, okay, what is one topic I'm uniquely qualified to talk about that
Yeah.
a lot of people will want to hear? Well, how did I get into PM and what is it like to work as a PM at LinkedIn
Right.
on a platform like LinkedIn?
Right.
So I got to stick to that.
Found your niche.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Finding
Yeah.
your niche, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then the niche that you are uniquely qualified to talk about.
I
Love
agree.
it.
I think this is what I keep on hearing from a lot of people who are able to generate a successful audience on a social platform, that initially they experiment, they
Yeah.
shelve out a lot of different content from different topics, and then they start finding out, narrowing it down to, okay, fine, this particular content is doing really well and I should start producing content around this area, and then they become really good at that area. And then consumers, they want to come to that page because they exactly know, if I come to this page, I'm pretty sure I'm going to find information about this particular thing, right? They know what they're walking into, right? So
True.
that really helps. And I think that's one. And second, Shyvee, personally faced this, what you just talked about, that my first post on LinkedIn or first post or like first podcast on YouTube, I was like, this has to be amazing. I want to do I want to spend like months into it. I want to spend make sure that everything is prim and proper. But there's a saying, right? Shining the cannonball. You should not think too much about it. You should just go ahead. The quality should be there, but don't spend months, honing it. Just put it out there. You'll learn, fail fast, learn, iterate, right?
Yeah.
You'll
That is
learn,
true.
you'll see what's working, what did not work, make it better each time. You don't have to produce the best looking product in the first go. Look at Facebook, look at Instagram, look at LinkedIn. It has evolved so much over the years,
Traded.
right? If you compare all these platforms today versus what they were 10 years ago, drastic, right?
Right. Or any creator. I mean,
Yeah.
I've followed so many people, whether it's YouTube, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's Instagram. If you pick up Joe Rogan to Jay Shetty
Yeah, yeah, of
to
course.
Stephen Bartlett, any of the people who are huge on podcasts today, they had very less following when they started, and they started experimenting by producing a lot of content. And after a year or 5 years sometimes, they realized, okay, this is what is my niche, this is what people come on my platform for. So I loved how you broke it down, that you experimented, you failed, you learned, and now you have reached that place. So this is quite empowering for everybody listening. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Shyvee.
Thank
you.
you. Alright. Let's walk into our next question, right?
Yes, over to
So,
you.
Shyvee, one thing we're personally, both of us are super curious about, and I think our audience is also, which is AI in product management,
Yes.
right? Personally, in my free time and during work as well, I try to find out how I can leverage AI to better my outputs, to better my PM skills, or even do a better job, right? So I keep on trying to find tools and see how can AI assist me in producing a better PRD or a better, a strategy document and things of that
Right.
nature. So I want to understand from you, what are your thoughts on how PMs can embrace AI to make their jobs easier, or get into a product management role that will help them using AI and make their lives better. So would love to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's many layers to unpack here. Actually, I think first, let's understand what AI product management really means and the different type of AI PM. I think at this stage, majority of AI PM jobs are still much more focused on the foundational layer,
Yeah.
meaning the technical side, right?
Yeah.
Training the data, making sure they're ready to deploy for the end customer to use.
Yeah.
And then there's probably about, a 10% of PMs, 10-20% are more on the how do we show it on the UI, make people using
Right.
it,
Yep.
and
The
then
front end, yeah.
refine it. So, and then leveraging the foundational data model. So when people say that they wanted to get into AI PM, just know which camp you're in. Right?
Interesting. Yeah.
And then there's still traditional feature PM that has nothing to do with AI. A
Yeah.
lot of growth PMs don't really do a lot of AI
Right.
yet. Core experience have some AI, not a lot of AI.
Yeah.
So what I see in the market is that right now majority are hiring for the foundational model, the technical side of AI,
Yeah.
because a lot of the GNAI, like putting a chatbot, the UI aspect, a lot of them tend to hire or convert existing PM, like a core feature PM, to get them to work on this AI project.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
it's a great sort of retention, career growth tool. We haven't got a chance to talk about right now. I think the overall tech industry
Yeah.
is functioning more like I call it wartime versus peacetime,
Oh.
right? So
I like that. Yeah.
during
Yeah.
COVID, during the great reshuffle, companies are hiring a lot more people. It's much more employee market.
Right.
So it's peacetime, right?
Yeah.
So their growth was great. A lot of remote work, hybrid work. Now you heard Amazon wants people to come back 5 days a week,
More
and
time. Yeah.
gonna lay off a sixth of their
Yeah.
managers, and so it's wartime.
Exactly.
Yes.
So that's why it's harder to sometimes break into those roles.
True.
So I think that's the hiring market aspect,
Yeah.
and then depending on people's, background, where they fit, sometimes it creates a lot of AI FOMO. I can confess that I face that too, being
Right.
in Silicon Valley. But I have to remind myself, at the end of the day, I'm not really my superpower is not the technical side of PM.
Hmm.
Like I can probably do it. Like I was a search PM. I did platform before too.
Right.
But I just might not be my zone of genius, you know? Like I can do the job, but am I going to be great at it?
Right.
So sometimes as we think about career, I think another general advice is like thinking about it that way. And sometimes you just don't know. So you have to like take that advice from the previous question, like just
Yes.
experiment your way out.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
explore.
Yeah.
But then coming to like, okay, now as a PM or someone who aspired to be a PM, how can AI, you know, help us do a better job
Right.
on a day-to-day
Yes.
basis, regardless what type of PM
Exactly.
you are?
Yeah.
Right.
I think there's multiple ways we can think about AI's use cases in our day-to-day. First is I call AI as an enabler. So that means, you know, any task, whether it's crafting an email or drafting a doc, you know, how can AI help you 10x your productivity?
Correct.
So like the most basic sort of use cases around like, you know, writing an email, writing a doc draft, like that's tier one, I think,
Right.
first
Yeah.
layer.
Right.
I think the second
Love it.
layer
Yeah.
is to how do you bring it from good to great. So I have a couple more use cases that some of them I do pretty well, some of them I still learning. The second thing is use AI as a real thought partner. So a lot of us think about, I think 90% of the time we spend on automation, making
Right.
it simplify, write something, summarize it for us, taking meeting minutes,
Right.
action item.
Yeah.
How can you make AI a thought partner
Yeah.
where they can be helping you to think through from the different perspectives? So some use cases include recently, let's say I was using AI to work on a product vision
Right.
Okay.
for the new team that I joined. So I
Yeah.
want AI to help me critique like what part of my thought process have
Was-
loopholes that I have not thought
Ooh.
about.
That's amazing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I love
Or
it.
I want AI to wear different hats.
Right.
Like, hey, if you're an
Yeah.
entrepreneur who's super scrappy, how would you
Yeah.
look at my big vision and like tell me how to break it down?
Oh, like a devil's
That's great.
advocate.
That's
yeah,
pretty interesting.
exactly.
Great idea.
Or like
Yeah.
different perspective.
Yeah.
Like and then one of my favorite use cases is actually using AI as a career coach and therapist.
Oh,
Don't
lovely.
talk to me about
wow.
ethics. But AI knows a lot about me. I look at the memory. You know how like ChatGPT right now
Yeah.
allows you to like go for the memory. You can look
You
at the
can-
memory.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, this is
Yeah.
scary.
But you can also delete the memory.
I know.
heard in one of the YouTube videos.
Yeah,
that,
you
Yes,
can,
yes.
if you
You
want
can ask
to.
them not to train the model on what you have
Yeah,
searched
exactly.
on.
I definitely turn off the training,
Yeah.
but then I'm not quite ready to delete all the memory. I max out the memory too. So I
Yeah.
was like, oh my gosh, I need to spend all this time like clean it up.
Oh,
But I did read some Reddit comments of how people just like, but I feel like this is a friend, you know, we're losing out.
Yeah.
The movie Her
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
from
Yes.
2013
Yes.
definitely felt that way.
Yeah, that people are getting attached to
Yeah.
the
No,
AI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you shared that use AI as a a thought partner. I love that. Like
Yeah.
I think most of the people right now, as far as I know, I may be wrong, but are using it as you call it tier one, right? Help me fix the grammar in my document or like make it more summarized or make it like into a bullet point or what have you. But taking it one notch ahead, right? Have it as a thought partner. Use all the world's data on the web to think about the critique and then use it in your whatever thing you're working on to understand different perspectives
Yeah.
around the world and then bring a more thought through
Yeah.
document or whatever proposal that you're working on. So I like that. Also going back, I think there's something that you really touched on which is very crucial is understanding the difference between a foundational tech PM who is serving as a tech PM for AI versus a PM who is helping use that foundation into their UX in a product, right? I think most of the people, whether it's Microsoft, Facebook, are in the roles where they are, using those foundational layer, how to feed them into the UX or into their product, right? And there's a
Right.
small group of AI PMs who are actually working on building this model which power these different use cases
Yeah.
spread across from different, products from Facebook to Outlook to what have you. And I think understanding what works for you,
So important.
what's your superpower,
Yeah.
where do you fit in is very important versus forcing AI down your throat that, hey, I have to be an AI PM because everybody in the world is being an AI PM. Let's just go there.
Yeah.
That doesn't work.
Just follow the crowd.
Just-
yeah, that doesn't
So I
work.
think those are some really good gems you gave, Shyvee. Thank you so much for sharing
I
that.
love the
Yeah.
use cases breakdown and the last part. Thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing that
Right.
you actually use it also like as a friend, as a therapist when you need to talk. I have done that too. Like if I'm stuck in a situation in which I have to reply to somebody and I'm like, okay, how to respond to such and such, tone or and personal, professional,
play.
whatever, right?
Yeah.
you get that mindset, and it's easy, right? Because I think all of us as humans come with a bias, and you can always get this third person's point of view without any judgment, without any counter questions on why
Right.
are you asking so and so things, right? So I love that. Thank you so much for sharing it.
you.
So I think my question was more towards the product. So let's change it a little bit because this will be fun. If you want to share your favorite AI tools, like 2 or 3 top that you are using, and you would suggest the audience to explore it.
So it's funny because a lot of it, I use AI for fun, to like creation.
Yeah.
So recently, I try out this tool called Suno, Suno.
Not tried it.
It's an AI song creator.
Oh, interesting.
So
Okay.
you enter a couple words
Yeah.
and it will create a song.
Oh, wow.
And it sounded pretty great. So
Oh, wow.
check that out.
So you just enter like some keywords and it'll
Yeah.
generate a song out of it.
Yeah.
That is
And,
interesting.
That is
the lyric is really
cool.
cool. And
Yeah.
I loved it. So I've been like sharing it with my mother-in-law.
Okay, that's
Oh.
pretty
And
cool.
like bringing AI, for her. And so, because she's teaching math and,
Right.
you know,
Okay.
she has a character
Yes.
for her like math children's book for
Yeah.
like a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
And then we also have a family dog. So I was like, give me 2 sentences about your book and 2 sentences about a dog.
Huh.
And I can piece it together to like
That's
create songs.
interesting.
That's amazing, yeah.
Suno.
So it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the other tool I like is HeyGen, which is a
Okay.
video AI video generator.
Hmm.
So I use HeyGen to create an AI avatar of me.
Right.
So next
Cool.
time you might see me talking, but actually not me. So train on me.
I see.
And my voice.
I see.
Interesting. So where
so-
do you use that? What's the
Right.
use case of this video?
So let's say
AI?
the next time if I want to create a training video,
Right.
Okay.
I can just put on a script and it will say it for me.
Oh,
One use
Oh.
cases I use actually
Yeah.
really handy
Right.
Okay.
was I put I clean it up and put a version of like what PM does.
Okay.
Upload it,
Right.
and then the video will automatically speak in Chinese. And I sent it to my parents because I was like, I never able to explain what I'm doing
That's
for my
interesting.
parents.
That is
Wow.
so good. That is
I didn't
so
even
good.
need to train it in Chinese.
That's amazing.
And then I sent it out.
Yeah.
90% of people don't even know it's an AI
Oh wow, it's that
because
good.
it's that good.
we need to have a
we'll-
look at it.
Yeah, we'll
right?
link
Yeah,
it. And
I'll
we'll
show you.
try.
I'll show it to
We
you.
definitely gonna have
Okay.
it.
And is
We-
there anything else like just these top two?
I mean, I think ChatGPT is still my favorite because
Right.
of the
Yeah.
memory.
Yeah.
Right.
That
Exactly.
it knows me.
I think that's like our go-to tool for AI for most of us, right?
Yes.
That's the go-to
I
one.
think
but
Notebook LN.
I was about to say that's my
the podcast one,
Yeah,
right?
fa-
favorite
podcast
right
one.
now. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the
Have
new
you
favorite.
tried that? I'm thinking to
Yes.
like
You
for-
have?
I try it to,
Yeah.
just to play with it. Yeah.
Right, right.
Oh.
That's
pretty good.
Yeah.
It really boosts your confidence. Like if you are asking it to read your resume or some project
Mm.
that you have worked on, or
Yeah.
for your parents also. I was thinking like when we go back to India, we can like feed in some data points about your mom, my dad, and like our parents, and it just speaks like two people are talking
Oh,
about
wow.
them.
So
I haven't tried that use
Yeah,
case.
so I think there was this podcast you were listening to where this person just uploaded the resume to Notebook LM, and then the two podcast hosts, they started talking about this person on the resume about the achievements.
Oh,
And when you imagine you upload a
It's
resume and you're hearing about your
beautiful.
achievements, it hypes you up.
Yeah,
It makes-
I need to
it's
try
like-
that.
it's
I haven't
like-
tried that.
It's like something you would want to hear before you're going to give a talk, or if you're going to like an interview.
That's
and
awesome.
you're like, oh my
Like
god,
imposter syndrome.
I've done
like,
so
right,
much.
right?
Exactly, I've done so much. I didn't
Yeah.
even realize that, right? So
And the way they say it, oh, have you heard about what
exactly.
Rishab has achieved or
Yeah.
Shyvee has achieved on this? Oh my God, that's mind blowing. So it's
That's
like
awesome.
really awesome.
But I
I
think
need to do that.
you should
Yeah.
My
definitely try
to do
it.
now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I
All I
think-
did was summarizing a long article.
There are
so-
multiple things
Yeah.
that you can do with this thing.
Wow.
So definitely
Yes.
keep exploring. I think we are in this stage right now where there are products being generated out of AI that
Yeah.
we haven't even imagined yet, right? So I think it's that nascent stage, and we'll see more of these everyday use cases being converted into the products powered by Gen
Yeah.
AI.
Yes.
So lots of interesting stuff to look forward to, right?
I'm loving this. But thank you
Right.
for Suno also, Rishab. Make a note. You might
Yeah.
have to generate a song for
course.
me.
Well, that's a good
Yeah.
That's a good segue into our next question,
Yes.
Shyvee, which is around future. Just wanted to understand, like, what the landscape, because I think as a PM, a person working in any industry, you want to
Yeah.
keep a check, or you want to keep a lookout on, like, how is the landscape changing? What do you need to learn, and how do you stay relevant for the next 10 years, right? A lot has changed in the last 10 years. A lot will change in the next 10 years. So, with AI coming into picture, what do you think is going to be the future of product management of, right, the PM space? How is this going to evolve with AI into the picture?
Yeah. I thought about that question very hard every
Yeah?
day too.
Yeah?
And I'm going to give
Great.
a little bit of a controversial take.
Great.
Okay.
But I do wanted to speak it from a place confidence or groundingness, less of like this is a bad news
Right.
and it's the end of the world. So as you alluded to earlier, during your intro, that I do a lot of interviews with product leaders on my show, PM Learning Series.
Yeah.
I have to say a lot of them today are actually doing a lot of fractional consulting versus still keeping on their old job. Some of them, a lot of it do it by choice. It's not necessarily like they're being laid off or
Right.
let go from a product job, right?
Right.
Like, but product can be a very stressful job.
Absolutely.
So I think, the changing, AI landscape, I do think that product job is going to stay, but it's going to probably also morph into different shape as well. So for example, a general manager role might also have like a lot more product components to it. So your title might not be PM anymore.
Yeah.
You might be more focused on the go-to-market side of PM and how it integrates with the engineering, the AI foundational model. Or you might focus more on the creative growth side. Or everybody, maybe more people might become solopreneur themselves, or like
Absolutely.
very tiny atomic product teams, because then
Yeah.
product can do prototype. I think one of the skill you want to learn is probably like how do you do prototype really fast without designer, without engineer. So that could be one skill. Prompt engineering was really hard, but it's getting better and better. Like
Right.
still use natural language.
Right.
Understanding like how some of this data works. I think the technical stuff is gonna be really hot for a couple of years.
Okay.
So if you have a technical background, that helps. But eventually it's gonna get into like the Apple Android kind of battle, right? So like a couple LLM is gonna win it out, and then who can then build the app layer to really then apply AI to solve real problems.
Interesting.
I think the sky is the limit in that case, right?
Right.
Like the application of it, I think it's gonna what makes it different. So either you can work really well with domain experts, or you are super adaptable. I think we just have to constantly reinvent ourselves to be able to learn new skills and keeping up with AI. I really hope that AI could be handed in the right hands.
Yeah.
Because last December during Christmas, there was a debate from New York Times around the probability of doom.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there in the Valley, there's different research scientists have different
Layers. Yeah.
probabilities and percents. Some people rank it really high. I
Right.
think the overall consensus are like about 30%.
Yeah.
So I think in 70% of the cases, I do think that we either will work like maybe like only 10 hours a week, but get like a lot of stuff done. And then we can create our own, like we can do a lot more fun stuff.
Right.
Because scarcity might not be a problem anymore. Like today we have so many problems in the world is because people are fighting for food, for shelter,
Right.
for water. But if we can use AI to create energy or like, make food not necessarily as a scarce, resources,
Yeah.
then maybe we can be a lot more creative. But that's still ways to go. I think in the
True.
meantime, we need to learn how to reinvent ourselves,
Right.
which is not necessarily easy because
Right.
I think some of these jobs that are going away
Yeah.
are not necessarily going to come back anytime soon. So
Yeah.
when you're stuck in a cycle, I think people, especially people in maybe millennial generation,
Yeah.
are going to probably start to feel the hit of like, how do I stay relevant
Absolutely.
in this
True.
new wave of operating? But just stay open-minded. I don't think it's a job of like, I start to see it that way myself too. It's not like just like product, but it's like, how do I work with cross-functional? Like, how do I make myself AI proof? What skill do I need to learn? It might or might not come in the title of like product manager
Right.
per se,
Yes.
but just understanding AI, understanding how to work with people, understand how to deploy it, how to think about it. Those
Yeah.
are the skills that
Yeah.
you
Those are really good
Yeah.
points. I think keeping an open mind and just like looking at everything through a product manager lens, but just looking at through a lens of like, hey, I want to grow my, I don't know, product or my business, or like I want to grow myself. What can
Yeah.
I learn from that perspective?
Right.
I think that's a really good point. And I think for the
Yeah.
the comment you had about Doom, Tesla has now Optimus coming in, right? So
Yeah.
a lot of our day-to-day activities also will be handled by, I think, the robots at some point of time. And
robots,
so
yeah.
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
the monotonous work that we do in the PM job as well, for example, would be also handled off by AI. And I think you're right. At some point of time, we'll be investing our most of the time in just creative work. There will be more abundance of food or resources, and folks will not have to fight for stuff and spend more time creating stuff versus like doing mundane stuff or monotonous or fighting for the limited scarce resources you have. So it's going to be an interesting future.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that school of thought. And also, like, I think, like, any generation who's going through the change, right? When internet boom came in, right? Baby boomers were there. Millennials are caught in this AI change.
Right.
And like you said it so beautifully. Like, as this generation, I think Gen Z have started using AI tools, AI apps ever since they were in like school or now entering undergrad. With us millennials, it's like that shift that we are seeing that, okay, we used to do all these tasks by ourselves,
Yes.
and now there is a chat GPT, now there is Suno, or there is like notebook LM.
Yep.
How can I utilize it in my day to day? So there is that push that everybody is not taking, but I think as a generation, slowly and steadily, everybody will have to getting adapted to day of using AI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think that there's like management or organizational implications as well.
Right.
True.
Like maybe organizations will get way flatter,
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you might get a personal coach like that helps you to like understand how to say better in a certain context. I think there might be a lot more micro little companies of like,
Right.
5 people company, 10 people company versus, like a giant
Enterprise or something.
enterprise
Yeah.
operation. But so there are a lot of things that would change. I think the next 10 years of career development is going to look very different from the
Yes.
past 10 years. And in terms of career progression, maybe, the traditional promotion and stuff might also come in different flavors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think coming to the next question, because you talked about the doom, ethical AI, right? So I know we use AI in different ways, like as a PM in product management or as a developer, engineer, anybody in tech who's using AI, there are different types of apps. How can one person make sure that they are using it ethically? Because I know we have trainings also internal in all companies how to use AI, how much information to share, right? What are your pro tips there?
So
As a
as someone
user.
who's building product or someone who's using it?
That's a good.
That's a good question. Anything that you want to answer, it can be both or it can be just one that you pick.
Yeah, because I think obviously I'll start with the builder aspect.
Right.
I think product managers should be accountable
Yes.
for some of these decisions.
Right.
So having that mindset to like, what goes into the training data, when to disclose, transparency is a big part of responsible AI, and then giving, helping, because AI is a black box to many people,
Right.
even to the
Right.
development team. You cannot predict, what goes in, what comes out.
True.
So a lot of times being able to help bring in clarity to that black box helps giving confidence.
Interesting.
So whenever you can like maybe disclose what's the level of confidence from AI, doing red teaming for to understand different use cases, how AI will respond. Those are the some of the foundational things that you should as a product manager or product development team need to be paying attention to make sure that you uphold like high standards, which a lot of companies
Absolutely.
that probably don't do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So like disclosure, transparency, explainability of like what goes into the model,
Yes.
what comes out. As a user though, you need to learn how to protect yourself in some way. I don't know if I necessarily do the best job myself, because given that I use AI even as a as a therapy,
Right.
a therapy session, but I do think it's helpful to like not give out your personal information.
Right.
Make sure whenever sensitive informations are shared, you turn off the sharing
Exactly.
train like not
Yeah.
train on
Training
your
the data.
training
Yeah.
the
On the
data.
plan, yeah.
Yes.
I think also like if you see a lot of companies, they have this training in their respective companies that whenever an employee is working on some data, private data, they should not be putting it out on the internet, on the chat GPT, right?
True.
Because
Yes.
that data is eventually going to go in chat GPT's training data model, and then it gets exposed to the world, right? So you have to
Yeah.
be careful about your
what you're using.
private
Yeah.
data. You should not be sharing it out to the world. So I think those things when people using AI they should be mindful about their personal data that they are putting out on the internet
In
on
the
ChatGPT,
work
right?
confident,
Whether
work
it's work or
data.
even personal as well,
Yep.
right? You don't want to have your personal data go out as well. So
Yeah.
you have to think about that as well.
True.
So I think those are some really good points you shared, Shyvee. Yeah.
Yes. I loved like both the aspect from the builder side as well as the. I think that's very important for our audience to understand from both the aspects. Like, what are you feeding in? What are you testing it on? What are you training it on, etc. So thank you.
So I had a question. The last question was around like you already touched upon it a little bit, but maybe you can go a little bit deeper on that, which is like again like about AI and product management. How can a person who wants to dedicate their career in AI and be a PM focused on AI put themselves out there? And second, what they can start looking at, working on, reading about to up level their skills about
Yeah.
a product manager focus on AI. I think I'm leaning towards more of a foundational
Foundational PM,
PM,
right?
right?
Yeah.
Which who is more involved, getting their hands dirty on the
Yep.
model and things of that
Yep.
nature.
Yeah. I think for those people, definitely follow, the AI PM leader like Nika, Mahash, and a couple other,
So right,
folks on Maven. They have a lot of courses. Check those out. Study
Lovely.
the courses,
Okay.
like the data science. Get your tech chop ready, and then
Yes.
build a lot of products. Build portfolio of things,
hands on.
hands-on.
Mm-hmm.
Play with different LLM.
Yeah.
Talking to leaders. If you are also in between jobs, let's say you're looking for jobs, just go to like hackathons and like offer
That's a good one.
support,
Right.
whether to
Oh, yeah.
technical teams or to business teams. Look for a co-founder,
Right.
get your hands dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I saw
That's-
some really good
that's a really good
hackathon
pro tip.
projects, in Microsoft this year on
Yeah.
AI. So that's a great tip. And also, folks, we will have the links to all the courses that Shyvee talked about, so you can go and check them out, and the name of the leaders as well, so you can have that access to the data. And please go and check them out.
I think you've invited most of them on your PM
Yeah.
learning
Yeah.
because I've heard like Mahesh and some
We
other
will share the
leaders.
links for those as well in the
Yeah.
comments.
I think this was not part of the plan, but one last question, Shyvee. Anything that you would want to share to the audience, like women in tech in general? If you have any bits on for them, like for their career and how to navigate the challenges in today's like super competitive market, just like
Yeah,
shortly.
I think just again coming back to like initially when I said like the immigrant mindset of like you
Yes.
cannot compare someone, just like the comparison mindset. I think career is a long game. So focus on, how do you build your skill so that it becomes like a journey that you can continue to learn and grow and evolve versus a game of validation
Right.
True.
that you're trying to get that promotion, get that next recognition. Because a lot of times, like when market like this that hits, you realize, yes, I made it to like principal PM in this one company. It's a temporary marker, Now
Yeah.
everybody gets lowballed into like, And 5 years ago, I thought, consumer PM was the hottest, like building your
Sure.
product craft.
Yeah.
And I did the whole pivot into like consumer PM, learning about
Right.
how to build with a human psychology, do great things. Now you look at 90% of the PM job markets are hiring for B2B PM.
Exactly. Yeah.
True.
So, even people like
Thanks,
me could be out of job anytime soon. So,
Yeah.
just play the long game. Think about what's the right skill to build and the right
Yeah.
relationship to invest in. Focus on progress versus perfection or like validation. I think that's going to help a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And building their resilience.
Hmm.
Resilience is really important thing. I think a lot of times that
True.
as high achieving immigrants, sometimes
Oh yeah.
that might or might not come natural.
Absolutely. Right.
That doesn't come, and especially being an Asian, like South Asian Asians, I don't think so that comes naturally.
But I love the fact you
Uh,
stated progress over perfection. That's really important. Keep evolving, keep
Thinking about
progressing,
it.
keep learning, and that doesn't guarantee you, but puts you in a better position of being ready for wherever the market goes in the future, right? So progress over perfection.
True.
I love that.
Yeah, I think I started the podcast saying how fangirl moment I was having, and it was such an honor to have you here. And I'll
Thank you.
end by saying that thank you so much, Shyvee, for gracing us with your presence, with your knowledge. I don't know where this 30, 45 minutes went. We were just talking about AI, about product management, brilliant mindset, and amazing tips. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
coming to Curious Souls.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shyvee. This was wonderful. I enjoyed the conversation a lot. This was very fun and also like super insightful. Thank you again. And yeah, folks, thank you for watching. Thank you for looking at our episode. And please again, subscribe, share, like, comment. Please let us know who do you want in our next episode. Comment, and we will try to get that person to our episode. Thank you for looking at our episode. Thank you again. Stay curious. All right.
Thank you.